Alright, we're here on Kayhan TV with a special episode. I got Vlad Kitajczyk here. He's usually the NBA expert on our channel. But today, we got Star Trek Discovery Talk. We just got done watching the first two episodes of Star Trek Discovery. And that's why there's a huge, gigantic smile on my face.
Great.
Because I'm just so happy to have Star Trek back. So this is a special episode. We got the post-show analysis. So Vlad, let's talk about it. First of all, I was thrilled. What did you think of the quality of the episode?
Surprisingly fantastic. I thought it was great from the beginning to the end of the second episode. It was great. Great stories, great storytelling, drama, action, well written, well paced. Everything was done very well. I'm very pleasantly surprised because nobody knew what we were going to get. A lot of people had their theories was going to be what type of show it was going to be, but it was fantastic. It was
all right,
good.
well, that's your analysis of the quality. Let's get down to the story because we got 2 episodes in, but it's left us with probably more questions than answers, if anything.
Sure.
A little bit confusing because we thought we were going to... I was already looking at the crew, the captain and the first officer and the lieutenant, thinking that this is going to be the crew of the show we're going to be watching. Of this Starship Shenzhou, apparently, they were on. Captain Giorgio and the first officer, Commander Michael Burnham, who grew up on Vulcan, surprisingly.
Raised by Sarek.
Sorry, yes, Spock's father. Okay, but it was a really important storyline because it was the beginning of the Federation Klingon War, like something we've heard about, but we've never actually seen. Right. So let's talk about the moment, the important moment on the show, which was Burnham's mutiny on Captain Giorgio, and looking on it with the eyes of someone who's watched every Star Trek episode, we can obviously say that Burnham was right, and her idea would have worked. She got the plan from Sarek to attack on the Klingons, and logically, like what we know about the Klingons, because they didn't know anything about them at this point. This is before even the original series, but it would have worked. And then she got thrown in the brig for the mutiny. It was a bold move, by a first officer. What do you think? Something we haven't seen from basically any first officer. A mutiny against the captain. Come on. Well, it was intense.
It was definitely intense. Well, I guess her theory basically was that if you attack first, the Klingons will respect you. The Klingons will respect you, and they will maybe back off or start talking to you. I don't know if that was going to work here or not. Nobody knows. We'll never know.
I think it would have worked.
We'll never know for sure. What makes you so sure? They seem to have an objective, the Klingons did in these first 2 episodes, of not really doing that. So I don't know if it would have worked or not. But yes, she was right, obviously, because of the way things went down. She was right from the beginning.
You're right, though. I mean, I think, I think if they attacked and they talked to them like Klingons, probably they could have come to some weird understanding. But T'Kuvma and the other Klingons, they had some kind of agenda. It was a prophecy that they were looking to reunite the 24 Klingon families.
Sure.
Maybe it was a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy because they were trying to force this. Let's talk about that moment where they actually convinced the rest of the 24. They had them all up on the hologram, and they convinced them that what the Federation were saying was lies. Yeah. What did he say? That we come in peace.
And that's a lie. Complete lies. Well, you know what? It's some ways it's a little bit valid because the Federation has always been a little devious. We know this from past Star Trek series. They're not as great as they make it out to be. That's a fact. That's a fact. So the Klingons had a point. They wanted to keep the purity of the Klingon Empire and unite the Klingons, and I think it was a worthy goal for T'Kuvma. That was a worthy goal for him. Obviously, he martyred himself. That was his. I think he knew that might happen, but at least he thinks something good came from this. So it was an interesting turn of events. Nobody, I mean, who knew you'd be like kind of siding a little bit with the Klingons watching this a little bit like. Wow.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about that moment, though, when the captain and the first officer reunited at the end when Burnham escaped the brig.
The brig, yes.
And they made the decision to go after T'Kuvma
I didn't understand
to capture him.
I didn't understand why they needed to capture him. To what point would that have proved? But only, and I think
hey, it was the heat of battle. They came up with a plan. They thought if we capture him.
But they already had blown up his brig, so he probably was assumed dead anyways, maybe. So I mean, yes, he was
a better idea than killing him. They screwed up the mission. I mean, yeah, they took the two women.
I didn't understand why they needed to, because all it ended up doing is, getting the captain killed. But I don't know why that was a necessary thing to capture him. What would they have done with him afterwards? Held him prisoner forever?
That was their idea, that they could use him as leverage to kind of control the Klingons and not have such a crazy battle war going on. Because as we saw from the preview of the series continuing that aired after the second episode,
right.
I guess that's what the series is going to be in the beginning.
It's going to be just the Klingon Federation war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Burnham. And, she reminded me a bit of T'Pol, actually, because she was raised on Vulcan. She wasn't actually Vulcan.
You mean looks-wise or character?
Both.
Personality-wise?
Personality-wise. She was a... But
T'Pol, I know you don't care for Vulcans in general. Not as characters.
Oh, they're a little bit serious, they're not...
But I've always liked them, obviously. But except for a few other, but obviously with Spock and T'Pol, I did like. So I like this character. I like this character, Michael Burnham. I think she is very interesting, and portrayed pretty well, honestly.
But she didn't really defend herself quite well, I thought.
Defending her actions
in the trial, yeah, where she was given a moment to defend herself and give the judge, the jury, or whoever it was, the Federation jury, to give her a sentence.
I guess.
And it was right after a very, heated, crazy
emotional
moment in her life. She took
her captain
some
and
of the blame.
Were just killed, right?
Yeah, but I feel she could have defended herself a little better, because she really thought that she took matters into her hands and did the best thing for the ship, even if it was breaking the chain of command. Because as we all know in Star Trek past, that's one of the worst things you could do, is break chain of command. But I think it's an interesting way they've gone about doing this storyline, because apparently she's going to get put on a ship. Yeah. That's what we know so far. Right. And she'll be a prisoner at first, and maybe work her way from there. Right. So we'll see what happens. We don't know.
Well, we know it's going to be named Discovery, right? The USS Discovery, probably, right?
From what we could tell.
Right.
All right, one more character we also saw in the preview, Saru, Lieutenant Saru. No. What do you think of Saru, the Kalepian on the ship?
The Kalepian. I don't know how they came up with this. It's interesting. I mean, it's something new to discuss. He seems to sense fear, I guess, or sense death. No, he senses death.
Yes.
He senses death, and he knows when death is coming, and he sensed death was coming. Obviously,
he's a little paranoid. He's the paranoid character of the show.
Right. From what I gathered, I think a lot of people, or at least Burnham finds him cowardice. Right.
Yeah.
He thinks he's a coward, and goes against every kind of thing that he says. They had their relationship is kind of unique in the sense that they don't particularly like each other, it seems like.
But I think he's a good character to have on the show, because he is kind of the anti to everyone else. Burnham is the more brave, and she'll go about anything emotionless, and he's more like cautious. And even though we're on this trail to discover something, or like in this episode, they were supposed to be just checking out a beacon that was damaged, and it ended up becoming a huge, gigantic battle where everyone was killed. Right. A lot of people were killed.
A lot.
In a sense, he was right.
Right.
Right? I mean, he could have just avoided this whole thing.
Right. From what I gathered, he said that his species were prey in his homeland or something. Yeah. So he's always probably, been a little bit triggered.
Yeah. And how about the fact that the Federation was a little stubborn in this case? Because there was technically the border between the Klingon and Federation territory,
right? But they were still in what, Federation space?
I guess they said, we are in Federation space.
Right.
You could come talk to us. Like, how brash, you know? Come on.
It's Federation.
You're talking to some crazy Klingons here, and they were a little stubborn there, I felt, and that's why I consider the moment of the show when.
They fired at them?
No, well, that too. But I think the moment of the show was when the one Klingon ship just rammed into the other ship and uncloaked, and you just saw it.
That was good.
And then
it blew up,
and
right?
they blew themselves up. I mean,
yeah.
God, how hardcore. I mean, sometimes in Star Trek, some crazy things happen.
Yeah.
Like, that is just an insane decision. It's fast paced, and they have to blow themselves up in 5 seconds to try to kill, the enemy, to at least give their own fleet a chance to escape or whatever it is. It was just way intense, though. We're probably not going to get this level of intensity throughout the series, like every episode.
Yeah, you would think not.
It was a premiere.
You would think, they wanted to do extra for the...
Did you have a moment of the episode?
Yeah, there were probably two. Obviously, when Burnham first started doing the mutiny thing, and did the Vulcan pinch and said,
That was quite a moment.
That
was one moment where I was like, yes, this is getting good.
And then when Captain Felipe, what was it, Giorgio came through with a gun and said, belay that order, that was fascinating. I'm always fascinated by, the type of military stuff like that. So that was always interesting to me. And then, of course, when the Klingons fired, that was a shining moment on the show. I thought.
Yeah, that was the moment where this is it. It's happening.
It's happening.
This is happening.
Yeah, there's no coming back from this. That was great. That really made it seem like we have a real show in our hands. Because, like I said, nobody knew what we were getting here. Nobody knew what we were getting on these, these episodes. Everybody was holding their breath as Star Trek fans, just hoping that these episodes would live up to past Star Trek glory, right?
Yeah, well, we were talking about that last night on the phone. Getting ready for this.
Right.
We were a little. I was not nervous. I had confidence that, after a show gets canceled and for a network to bring it back, they got to have something up their sleeve to make this worthwhile and get some ratings and some money in. But you were a little, not skeptical, but weary that they could blow it again.
All I just said was, this is the first Star Trek series since 2005, and if it bombs, there probably won't be another one, right? Most likely.
Yeah.
So
a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure to be successful, because if it, first you have to get the Star Trek fans behind you, but you felt that wasn't as important because they're going to watch anyways.
Star Trek fans will be there anyways.
But you're saying you got to get fans that are not diehards.
Yeah, because Star Trek fans, even if they're going to talk crap about it, then
but they're still going to watch.
They're still going to watch. They need to get some neutrals in there to get some money in there. But
right.
It definitely started off more fast paced than the original Enterprise. How would you rank this amongst premiere pilot episodes for the other shows?
I think it's right up there with.
How about Encounter at Farpoint? Better than
better than.
I'll consider this a two-parter. I'll consider that like the opening episode personally.
Well, but Encounter at Farpoint was also a two-part.
Yeah, I guess so. They consider that episode 1 and 2 technically on the episode list.
Sure.
But what about compared to the Deep Space Nine opener?
That was a really good opener.
Yeah.
Very comparable. You know what? I don't know. I haven't seen that in a while, but I would say it's very comparable.
Yeah.
And I think Voyager also had a very good opener with them getting stranded at that time. So definitely better than the Enterprise and Next Generation openers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If I had to list them off the top of the head, I'll go with the Man-Eater first, the original Star Trek. You can't beat that.
No, I don't think the Man-Eater was better.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the Deep Space Nine one above this one, and then this one, and then Encounter at Farpoint.
Yeah.
Just because of Q, then Voyager, then Enterprise. That's my list. But anyways, it was a nice time, Vlad. Thanks for coming by and analyzing the show with us.
Yes.
I think we're gonna be in for a good time.
I think
this
we're going to
season.
be good in for a nice ride for with this series.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone, enjoy the show, and we'll see you more as Khan TV continues on when we talk about whatever we talk about. NBA season coming up, so we'll have plenty to talk about there. All right,